Alright, so maybe your New Year's resolutions didn't really pan out, so let's take it back like 5-6 months ago to January. We're making goals, we're feeling good, we're feeling really motivated, everyone around us is super excited and it's very contagious, and so we set really lofty goals that we're super psyched about for about 6 weeks at the very most, and then now it's 5 months later and we look around and we realize that we're no closer to saving like the 10 grand we wanted to do, you're not closer to losing the weight you wanted to lose, still can't speak French, you didn't start investing yet, and you're like, ooh, that's kind of rough. This is not how I envisioned this going. Okay, well, you've come to the right place. So ciao y'all, welcome to Making a Musician. It's me, your host, Helen, and you might be wondering at this point, okay, why are you qualified to tell me about this? Well, let me tell you, I have achieved a number of very difficult and kind of crazy things with this system that I'm about to outline for you. Things like learning multiple instruments, becoming conversational in at least 2 languages, starting a successful private studio, and also just making significant growth towards my personal and financial goals. In this video, I'm going to outline 5 steps or kind of strategies to get you back motivated, excited, and able to take action on these goals. Alright, step 1 is to reevaluate our goals and tweak them a little bit. So I want you to think back to who you were when you set these goals back in January. The 5 steps are reevaluating your goals and tweaking them, reflecting and solving problems, just do the big scary thing, the buddy system, finding your why, and then also we're going to talk about how to build a system that keeps you accountable. How did your life look in general? What occupied your thoughts? What were your main priorities? Who were you spending time with? What did your schedule look like? Now, snap back to the present, and I want you to ask yourself, do you look and does your life look exactly like it did when you set these goals? No, obviously not. Of course not, because we as people in our lives are always changing and evolving, and so we need goals that can also change and evolve along with us. Okay, so step 1 for this is we want to look at all of our goals. We want to take the ones that still make sense for us, that align with our life values and what we're trying to do, and we want to put them to the side because those are good. They don't really need a lot of work for this step. Those are doing great. Now, look at the goals where you think, oh, I'm not really sure that this aligns with what I'm doing right now. I'm not sure this totally makes sense for me in this moment. Those are the ones we're gonna focus on. If you're a little confused about what this looks like, don't worry, I will explain. So one of my big goals this year was that I wanted to grow as a pianist. And when I set that goal, the way that I set goals is I put the main goal and then I put all the little steps and like milestones for me to achieve that goal. And one of my big milestones was to do a certain number of lesson swaps with a colleague who's really good at piano. And so at this point in my life, when I set this goal, it made a lot of sense because financially my life wasn't necessarily in a place where it made sense for me to be spending a lot of money on private lessons. And so lesson swaps, even though they're more time consuming, a little bit more difficult, and just like more challenging to coordinate than private lessons, made more sense for me. So the goal was I was going to do X number of lesson swaps with a colleague where I give them lessons in voice and they give me lessons in piano. Now, I'm currently at a point where spending money on piano lessons is something that financially makes sense for me, and so lesson swaps with a colleague doesn't necessarily make as much sense. Now, I can look at that goal and say, oh, you know what, that doesn't quite make sense for me because now I found a teacher that I'm really excited to study with and that I really love working with. So this goal kind of doesn't really fit me right now, and I'm going to just kind of throw it out. Alright, so now at this point, if you're thinking, wow, this really doesn't apply to me at all of my goals still really make sense for my priorities, who I am as a person, they fit my lifestyle, they fit my schedule, they just totally make sense for me, you can skip this part of the video if you want to. Go to the next one. Alright, ciao, see you. Everybody else, hello, welcome, here we go, class is in session. So if you're just thinking, wow, this goal no longer aligns with my core values and lifestyle, might be a good chance that you should just kind of throw it out. If you're looking at that goal and you're thinking, wow, it's really still important to me, it aligns with my goals, it's something I'm really passionate about, it makes sense with my lifestyle, but it just doesn't quite fit me exactly right as is, that's fine, we're gonna tweak it a little bit. So in this instance, using the piano analogy, if I was supposed to have, say, 10 lesson swaps with this colleague, we would tweak that goal to be, I want to have 10 lessons with this teacher that I'm really passionate about studying with. It's equal, it's going to yield a very similar result, and what's better is it makes sense and fits my life right now as it is. For you, this could look differently. So if your goal is to read 10 books and you find out in the course of trying to do that you really hate reading and you don't want to buy books or go to the library, you could set a goal to listen to 3 audiobooks this year on your commute. Maybe you want to find 2 podcasts to listen to instead every week that are on similar topics that you were wanting to read about, or perhaps you decide you're going to try 3 new genres of literature in order to try to find something that you hopefully do love. Maybe your goal is to go for a run every day, but you got an injury and that is no longer a very good idea for you. So instead, we could make a goal to switch to going for a walk every day, set out to discover a different form of low impact exercise that you could do daily, or schedule a hike with a friend every week. Is this making sense? So basically, just pared down. We want to take the original goal that doesn't quite make sense for us where we are in our life right now, and take the general idea of it, the feel of it, and the core goal of it, and just shift it into something that does make sense for us. This goes back to what I was saying before. Our lives are flexible, they're always changing, they're always growing, and we want to make sure that our goals are fitting us as we are now, and we're not holding ourselves to a standard that doesn't make sense anymore because things are completely different and we have changed and grown as people, which is something that we absolutely should be doing. This is a good sign. Okay, so the next step that we want to do is reflect and solve. So we want to reflect on a couple of questions that I'm going to give you, and that's going to hopefully lead us to solving the problems that we're having. So the first question is, does this goal make sense for me? So this is basically what we just talked about. So you want to figure out, does this goal still align with what I'm trying to do? Then we have, why have I not been successful in reaching this goal? So if you can figure out what the obstacle is that you're having a hard time overcoming, what's getting in your way time and time again, then you can make a plan to remove it. So if you're trying to go to the gym, but you find that when you get home, your family just needs you and then there's no time for you to actually get back out of the house in your workout clothes and make it to the gym, maybe you stop at the gym before you actually come home from work, and that way, once you're home, you're present and you don't need to leave again. How can I make it really, really easy for me to achieve this goal? I often ask myself when I'm having a really hard time with a goal, what would this look like if it was easy? And then I try to simplify things and just make it as easy as possible for me to do this. What would make the process of achieving this goal more fun and enjoyable for me? So I find that if I can make sure that I'm having fun with whatever I'm trying to do, I am gonna have a really high success rate doing it. So if, for example, you have a goal of learning a language, something that I've done in the past when I've been learning languages and really enjoyed is joining some kind of a meetup group that speaks the target language. And I always have a really great time. These people are usually really fun, they're really nice, I have a lovely time, and then I actually make a lot of progress towards my goal. It's a win-win. What part of this goal am I most excited about? So oftentimes when I am not making progress on my goal, if I just reflect on it a little bit and think about what is the thing that made me want to set this as a goal in the first place and why was I feeling so passionate about it, oftentimes I'll just kind of like relight that fire and I am ready to go again. Is this goal realistic for me as I am now? Finally, we have, how will doing or not doing this impact me in 10 years? So right now I have a goal of working out for 60 days in a row. It's a big thing for me. Before starting this, I had never set foot in a gym and I was very intimidated. And it was funny, I don't really have an aesthetic goal for going to the gym. I don't really want to change. I mean, if I get shredded, that's cool, but like I'm not really setting out to change the way I look. But really, when I'm old, I just still want to be able to do cool stuff. And so for me, it's not quite how will this impact me in 10 years, it's more like how will this impact me in 50 to 60 years. But you know, when I'm 75, if I decide that I want to go trot my happy little self up and down the Vegas Strip and gamble with all my old lady girlfriends, I want to be able to do that, and I don't want my physical health to be in the way of that. So it's probably a really good idea that I start taking excellent care of myself right now so that I can make it to that point in my life. That makes me really excited to go work out when I'm maybe not feeling it so much. Now, on the other hand, if I don't work out, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I might not be able to do those things that I'm really excited about later down the line, so better go do it. These questions help you do things like reduce friction, so make it easier for yourself to go do these things that you want to do, align your goals with your core values and your lifestyle. It makes things more fun, it makes things a little bit easier, and most importantly, it gets you excited. So if you can find ways to re-up your enthusiasm about your goals, I find that that is sometimes the only thing I really need to get me back on track. Step 3 is just do the big scary thing. So usually when I am setting a goal, there is some kind of a big thing, a big event, something kind of that feels large and overwhelming that I have to do that keeps me from getting started. And the only thing to do about this big thing is just to do it. And I call this eating the frog. Now, the thing about eating frogs is, even though it's not really my favorite food, based on how you cook them and how you season them, you can make eating frogs maybe not your favorite meal, but a more enjoyable experience than it could be if you just did nothing to it, right? All right, so here are some ways for you to season and cook the metaphorical frog that we're talking about. So number 1 would be to set up a reward for you doing the big scary thing. So maybe after you make a call with your financial advisor to talk about your investing plan that you've been putting off and not wanting to do, even though it's one of your big goals, you're going to go out with your girlies and grab a sushi roll to celebrate. Next up is break it down. So when I was going to the gym in the beginning, I was really intimidated. I was sure it was just gonna be like big scary dude bros lifting heavy things and yelling, and I had like a really weird vision of what the gym was gonna be. But anyways, so I just told myself I just needed to go in the front door and spend 20 minutes walking on the treadmill, and if everything else felt too intimidating and the idea of getting on new equipment and possibly looking stupid paired with coming to the gym for the first time was too overwhelming, I could just go on the treadmill for 20 minutes the first couple times, and that would be plenty. And next up we have what I call phone a friend. So if I am feeling really overwhelmed about something, say in this example I am planning a trip to Italy that I've always been super passionate about, but there's just so many steps, I've never traveled internationally before, I really feel like I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm a fish out of water. Maybe I call my friend who travels internationally frequently and I ask her how she does everything and how she books hotels and flights and for any other advice that she has, and then somebody can help you do the big scary first steps that are making you feel really, really intimidated. So my final step or suggestion in the eat the frog category is to blow it all way out of proportion. No, God! So a quick disclaimer on this one, I feel like this is targeted towards a very specific kind of person. So if you think this is gonna make sense for you, take it, grab it, hold on to it. And if this doesn't make sense for you, just feel free to throw it in the trash can. So blow it way out of proportion. What do I mean by this? So just come up with the absolute worst case scenario. I'm talking about just like movie level, like absolute like comedy level terrible. What's the most shockingly horrible way that this could all go? And then I want you to make a plan for how you're going to overcome that and deal with it. And that way, when you roll up to whatever your big scary thing is, you're ready to eat the frog, you know that even if this goes like shockingly movie level horrible, you're still gonna be okay and you're gonna be able to handle it. And in these situations, I have felt a lot better, A, because I know that I have basically made myself live out the worst case scenario in my head, and no matter what happens in real life, it's not going to be nearly as bad as anything that my crazy little mind can come up with. But also, I know that I have a plan if things do go wrong, and that makes me feel more prepared and like I have a little bit more control over eating the frog. Next up, we have the buddy system. So I love finding other people that are gonna help me stay accountable and stay on top of my goals. And it would be really ideal if somehow I had a friend who had the exact same goal as me, and we could just do every single step of the process together, and I would have a partner for the whole thing, and that would be fantastic. But I have literally never, not a once, ever had that happen. And this is not for a lack of having goals and a lack of having friends, but you know, the people in my life sometimes just aren't wanting to go in on my crazy goals at the same level that I am, which is totally fine. So we have a few options here. Number 1 is find several somewhat lower commitment buddies that will do it with you. So for example, I am going to the gym every day for the next 60 days, which is actually only the next 50 days now. So I don't have any friends who are at the same level of crazy as me and want to also go to the gym for 60 days in a row. But I do have maybe 3 to 4 friends who would be more than happy to go with me to the gym anywhere from once a week or once every other week. So that means for about half of the days that I want to be at the gym, I have an accountability partner who's more than happy to go with me, and that really helps me be motivated, especially on days when maybe I'm not feeling like going to the gym, but I've set up something and scheduled scheduled it with a friend, so I kind of have to go. And then option 2 is to just kind of have some sort of an accountability buddy, and they don't necessarily do the thing that you want to do with you, but they ask you maybe once a week or a couple times a week how it's going, and they look at you very disapprovingly when you tell them that you actually haven't done the thing that you told them you were going to do. And you can do this a few ways. So you could have somebody in your life that you actually see or call or hang out with on a very regular basis. You could maybe download some sort of an app or use your calendar in a way that makes you check in and that helps to hold you accountable. Or maybe you decide that you want to join some sort of an online community of people who are also kind of having similar goals as you, and you can help to motivate each other and cheer each other on. This could also look like having a teacher. So if you want to learn an instrument, having a teacher can be a really great option because they are going to work super hard to make sure that you have all of the tools that you need to hit your goal. They can't do the work for you, but if the idea of showing up unprepared to a lesson makes you want to do the work, it might be a good thing for you to consider. And then before I share the final tip, I just want to thank you so much for watching this far, and I would like to say that it would mean a lot to me if you chose to like this video or subscribe to my channel. That lets me know that this is a good kind of content for me to be making, and it helps me to make more of it. The final tip is to find your why. Now this is something I've talked about on my channel before, but for those of you that don't know, the why is the thing that pulls you out of your nice warm bed at 6 in the morning, even though you don't technically need to be up till 8, because you decided you wanted to write a book, and those 2 hours in the morning are the only time that you have before your family wakes up and chaos ensues that you can write during. Basically, the why keeps you on the path that you know that you need to be on, even when you're really in absolutely no mood to keep going. Now, for the why to be effective, at least for me personally, but I find this true with a lot of my friends as well, it cannot come from a place of how much I hate myself and how terrible I think I am. Let's say it again. The why is not because I'm terrible and I need to change. Instead, the why is because I'm excited about all of the wonderful things that are gonna happen when I do this. So for example, if you have some sort of an aesthetic goal with your body, for me personally at least, a beneficial why is definitely not because I hate the way I look and I feel so unhappy. That might keep me motivated for a little while, but it's really not great. Instead, a great why is because I'm gonna be able to do XYZ thing once this is accomplished, and I'm so excited about doing that. So an example in my life is learning piano. To be fair, I can already play piano to a degree that most people would be really pretty happy with, but it's just not quite enough for my life and my goals. So I have been wanting to make improvement for several years. And in the past, my why for learning piano has been because I'm a terrible musician and I absolutely hate myself and I'm so upset that I can't play piano. And that's not really the best why, and it has not led to me being successful in the past. And currently my why is because I love playing piano, I love having a fun outlet for music that's different from singing, and I know that it's gonna make me way more competitive in my industry. Okay, that's a much better why, whereas the first one would maybe have me be really, really inspired and light a fire under me for maybe about 2 weeks, but probably not any longer than that. The second one is coming from a place that is a lot more sustainable and doesn't make me feel like absolute garbage about myself. Setting up an accountability system. Now, this is super helpful. There are a couple of things that I do, so let me walk you through them. The first one you can see behind me right here. So I have a shocking number of sticky notes in my home. I don't know why, I have so many of them. And so one of the ways that I love to track goals is with sticky notes. So this one has to do with me going to the gym every day for 60 days. And on this door, I put 60 sticky notes, and every day when I get back from the gym, I pull one off the door. And the straight serotonin that I get from pulling a sticky note off the door is absolutely unparalleled. I get just a shocking amount of accomplishment from doing that. But to up the ante a little bit, on every 10th day, I have it marked on the sticky note that that's like the 10th day, the 20th day, 30th, 40th, 50th, and 60th, I get a reward that I am specifically excited about for that week, something that I've decided, oh yeah, this is really feeling like a good choice for me, I've really been wanting this. And usually something that's related to the challenge. So for me, for day 10, I get to go buy myself a cute little workout outfit because, you know, I've been rolling up to the gym in old t-shirts and like old leggings from a dance class I took like 6 years ago. And it would be nice to have something to wear that's not that. Other accountability systems that I have set around my home are setting calendar reminders for me for about a week before something needs to be done for a goal. I also have my famous goals board. Let me insert some footage here. So this is kind of what I was talking about, where I said I have the main goal and then I have the smaller steps to achieving the goal, all the little milestones at the bottom. So this really helps me be excited. As we said, I love to pull a sticky note off of something. It just gives me a real rush. It also helps me know how close I am or am not to achieving a goal. Other accountability systems that I have employed personally are having a teacher. Like I said, using the buddy system is really, really helpful. Personally speaking, I am not really a fan of negative consequences if I don't achieve something. To me, that's just not really the best way of going about things for me personally, but I know I have had friends that when they're trying to achieve something, one of my aunties decided that if she didn't hit a certain goal she was going for, she was going to donate $100 to a politician that she really couldn't stand, and she definitely got the thing done that she was going for. So if that's something that you think might work for you and you do really well with negative consequences, that is something you should probably explore. For me personally, my life is a little bit unpredictable as a musician, and so things don't always pan out quite like I expect, so I don't like to punish myself if life gets in the way and things don't get done on the exact timeline that I had in mind. So I prefer positive rewards instead of negative consequences. Also for me, not doing the goal is usually enough of a negative consequence that I'm feeling pretty motivated. Okay, thank you so much. That is it for me. I hope you enjoyed and found this helpful. If you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!